The plasma bolt missed Captain Jake Morrison's head by inches. He dove behind a crystalline pillar as 3 more shots scorched the air where he'd been standing. His rifle clattered across the polished floor of the alien throne room, sliding uselessly out of reach. The diplomatic mission had gone sideways the moment they'd materialized in the palace. "Morrison, get out of there!" Lieutenant Grace Palmer's voice crackled through his earpiece. She was pinned down somewhere behind the massive doorway. Return fire, keeping the royal guards busy. Jake's hand went to his tactical vest. Empty. He'd burned through every magazine during the fighting in the corridor. His fingers brushed something else. Something that made his stomach drop. The flowers. Command had given him a bouquet before the mission. Earth flowers. Roses, specifically. Red ones. The intelligence briefing said the Valorian Queen appreciated botanical gifts. That was before her guards started shooting, before half his squad got vaporized in the entrance hall. Another energy blast shattered the pillar above him. Chunks of crystal rained down on his helmet. The Queen's voice rang out across the chamber, speaking in perfect English. "Surrender, human. Your kind has no place in this sector." Jake looked at the flowers, somehow still intact in their protective case. This was insane. This was suicide. But every weapon was gone, every tactical option exhausted. He stood up, hands raised. 50 guards aimed their weapons at his chest. The Queen sat on her throne, 7 feet tall, skin like polished obsidian, eyes glowing amber. She wore armor that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Jake walked forward. Each step echoed in the sudden silence. "I came here to talk," he said. His voice didn't shake. Training held firm even when logic screamed at him to run. The Queen's hand rose. The guards held fire, but their weapons stayed locked on him. He reached the base of her throne and pulled out the flower case. The guards tensed. Someone shouted a warning in the Valorian language. Jake opened the case and held up the roses. The Queen stared. Her glowing eyes widened. She stood slowly descending the throne steps. The entire chamber seemed to hold its breath. She took the flowers from his hands. Then she dropped them. Jake's heart hammered as she grabbed his shoulders. Her strength was inhuman, her grip like a vice. This was it. This was how he died. The Queen pulled him close and wrapped her arms around him. She was hugging him. Before Jake could process what was happening, she pressed her lips against his in a kiss that tasted like ozone and starlight. Every guard in the room lowered their weapons in perfect unison. The kiss lasted 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours. When the Queen finally released him, Jake stumbled backward. His brain struggled to catch up with reality. The most powerful ruler in the Valorian Empire had just kissed him in front of her entire court. Grace's voice exploded in his earpiece. "Morrison, what the hell just happened? Our scanners just went dark. Every weapon in that room just powered down." The Queen turned to her guards and spoke in rapid Valorian. They immediately holstered their weapons and dropped to one knee. All 50 of them, in perfect synchronization. She looked back at Jake, her amber eyes softer now. "You brought me Earthbloom. Roses," Jake corrected automatically, then wondered if correcting an alien queen was a good idea. "We call them Earthbloom. They grow only on your world. They cannot survive elsewhere." She picked up the scattered flowers with surprising gentleness. "My grandmother told me stories of these. She saw them once, centuries ago, before your species reached the stars, before the wars." Jake's mind raced. The intelligence briefing hadn't mentioned any of this. Command had just said she liked flowers. They'd given him roses because they were diplomatic and traditional. Nobody had explained why. The Queen touched one of the petals. In Valorian culture, Earthbloom represents the rarest gift. To give them is to offer peace at any cost. To offer vulnerability. To say that beauty matters more than victory. "I didn't know that," Jake admitted. "I just thought they were pretty." The Queen laughed. The sound was like music played on crystal chimes. "Even better. You gave them without knowing their meaning. That makes the gesture pure." She turned to her court and made a proclamation in Valorian. The guards stood and began filing out of the throne room. Within moments, only Jake, the Queen, and 2 attendants remained. Grace's voice came through again, urgent. "Jake, the Valorian fleet just changed position. They're moving away from our ships." "What did you do?" "I have no idea," Jake muttered. The Queen heard him and smiled. You ended a war, Captain Morrison. The moment I accepted your Earthbloom, I declared peace between our peoples. It is done. Irrevocable. Jake felt his knees go weak. Just like that? Just like that. She gestured to her attendants, who brought forward a hovering platform covered in what looked like official documents, except these documents seemed to be made of light itself. Of course, there are formalities. Treaties to sign, borders to establish, trade agreements to negotiate. I'm not authorized to negotiate anything, Jake said quickly. I was just supposed to request an audience, ask for talks. That's it. Then your superiors will join us here. The Queen sat back on her throne, still holding the roses. But you, Captain Morrison, will remain as my honored guest. The one who brought Earthbloom cannot leave until the peace is sealed. Jake heard Grace in his ear. Morrison, Admiral Chen is screaming for a status report. She says the entire Valorian Armada just broadcast a ceasefire declaration. She wants to know if you're being held hostage. Not exactly, Jake said. He looked at the Queen, who was watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Tell the Admiral we have a situation, but it's a good situation, I think. The Queen stood again and descended toward him. Jake resisted the urge to step back. She stopped inches away, close enough that he could feel the heat radiating from her obsidian skin. You are very brave, she said quietly, or very foolish. Walking toward me with flowers while my guards aim to kill you. Probably both, Jake admitted. She laughed again. That crystal chime sound? I like you, human. What is your name? Your real name, not your rank. Jake. Jake Morrison. Jake Morrison? She said it like she was tasting the syllables. I am Queen Liara Thixundra, 7th of the Solar Throne, guardian of the Valorian Reaches. She paused. You may call me Liara. An attendant whispered something urgent in Valorian. Liara's expression shifted, became more formal. Your fleet is requesting permission to approach. Should I grant it? Jake nodded. Yes, but they're going to want answers I don't have. Liara touched a panel on her throne's armrest. A holographic display materialized in the air, showing the positions of both fleets. The human ships were holding position at the system's edge, while the Valorian Armada had pulled back to defensive formations around the planet. Tell them to send one ship, unarmed, with your leaders aboard. Liara's voice carried absolute authority. We will host them in the Hall of Accords. Grace's voice crackled again. Jake, Admiral Chen is inbound personally. ETA 20 minutes. She's bringing the entire diplomatic corps of copy that, Jake said. He looked at Liara. The Admiral's coming. She should. Liara handed the roses to an attendant, who placed them carefully in a container that began filling with a glowing liquid. These must be preserved. They are now a historical artifact. The weight of what had just happened finally hit Jake. He'd ended a war that had been brewing for 3 years. Not through strategy or firepower, but because he'd handed someone flowers while people were shooting at him. Liara gestured toward a doorway that had appeared in the wall. Come. You need to prepare. You cannot meet your admiral looking like you've been in combat. I have been in combat, Jake pointed out. His armor was scorched, his helmet cracked, which is why you must change. Lyra started walking. Jake followed because refusing a queen who just declared peace seemed like a bad idea. They entered a corridor lined with floating lights that pulsed in rhythm with their footsteps. 2 guards fell in behind them, keeping a respectful distance. Why did you really kiss me? Jake asked. The question had been burning in his mind. Lyra glanced back at him. Because the Earthbloom gift requires a response of equal vulnerability. In Valorian tradition, a kiss is acknowledgement, acceptance, trust. She paused at an intersection. Also, you looked terrified. I found that endearing. I was definitely terrified. You hit it well. They entered a chamber that looked like a luxurious apartment. These will be your quarters while you remain here. My attendants will bring you proper attire. Jake looked around. The room was bigger than his entire apartment back on Earth. A window showed the planet's 3 moons rising over a city of impossible architecture. How long will I be staying? He asked. Liara moved closer. However long it takes to forge a true peace, days. Perhaps weeks. Your people and mine have much to discuss. Her expression became serious. You understand what you've started, yes? The Earth Bloom ceremony is sacred, ancient. I cannot undo it even if I wish to. Do you wish to? No. She touched his shoulder the same way she had before the kiss. You gave me a gift without knowing its power. That tells me your species is capable of genuine goodness, of acting without calculation. Her hand dropped. That is rare in this galaxy. An attendant entered, carrying what looked like formal robes made of the same liquid metal as Liara's armor. Put these on, Liara instructed. When your admiral arrives, you will stand beside me. As the one who brought Earthbloom, you are now bound to this piece. Its success or failure will rest partially on your shoulders. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settle over him like a physical thing. I'm just a captain. I'm not qualified for this. You are qualified because you succeeded where others failed. Liara moved toward the door. Your military sent 3 diplomatic missions before you. All 3 refused to enter my throne room after the fighting began. They retreated. They chose survival over the mission. That's just common sense, Jake said. Perhaps, but common sense does not end wars. Liara paused in the doorway. You walked toward me holding flowers while death surrounded you. That is not common sense. That is faith. Faith that beauty and peace matter more than survival. She left before Jake could respond. He stood alone in the alien chamber, holding formal robes that shimmered like starlight, trying to process the fact that his career had just taken the strangest possible turn. Grace's voice came through one last time. Jake, the Admiral's shuttle just launched. You've got 15 minutes. And Jake, Command wants to give you a medal, or court-martial you. They haven't decided which. Tell them I'll take either one, Jake muttered. He started putting on the robes. Admiral Victoria Chen stepped off the shuttle with the kind of expression that meant someone was getting yelled at later. She was flanked by 6 diplomats, all of them carrying data tablets and looking nervous. Behind them came a security detail that tried very hard not to look like a security detail. Jake stood next to Queen Liara in the Hall of Accords, wearing robes that felt like wearing liquid moonlight. He'd tried to stand at attention, but Liara had placed a hand on his arm and told him to relax. Her touch had been gentle but firm. The Admiral's eyes locked onto Jake immediately. She crossed the hall in long strides, her boots clicking against the crystalline floor. Captain Morrison, she said. Her voice was controlled, professional, but Jake could hear the edge underneath. Would you care to explain how you managed to end a 3-year Cold War in under 10 minutes? I gave her flowers, ma'am. The Admiral's jaw tightened. I read the preliminary report. I want details. Real ones. Liara stepped forward before Jake could answer. Admiral Chen, welcome to Valoria Prime. Your captain acted with extraordinary courage and brought me a gift of profound cultural significance. He has my gratitude and protection. Chen's gaze shifted to Liara. Jake watched his commanding officer size up the alien queen, 2 of the most powerful women he'd ever met, standing face to face. Your Majesty, Chen said carefully, I appreciate the gesture of peace. But I need to understand the terms. My government needs to understand what just happened. What happened is simple. Liara gestured to attendants who brought forward chairs that seemed to grow from the floor itself. Your captain gave me Earthbloom. In doing so, he invoked the Treaty of Living Gifts, an accord older than your species' written history. The treaty states that any being who brings Earthbloom to a Valorian monarch in a time of conflict is offering unconditional peace. To accept the gift is to accept the peace. I accepted. One of the diplomats, a thin man with gray hair, stepped forward. Your Majesty, we have no record of this treaty. Our intelligence on Valorian culture is extensive, and there's no mention of your intelligence is 300 years out of date, Liara interrupted. The treaty predates your spaceflight. It was created during the First Bloom, when Valorian explorers first encountered Earth and saw the flowers growing wild. She looked at the roses, now suspended in their preservation chamber. We tried to cultivate them. We failed. They died within days of leaving your soil. That failure taught us humility. Admiral Chen sat down slowly. So this treaty has been waiting all this time? Just in case someone brought you roses? Yes, that's insane. Liara smiled. Many important things are. Jake remained standing, feeling increasingly out of his depth. The diplomats had started murmuring among themselves, tablets lighting up as they searched databases for any reference to the treaty. Chen looked at Jake. Did you know about any of this? No, ma'am. Command just said to bring flowers. I thought it was a goodwill gesture. It was, Liara said, the purest kind, given without expectation or knowledge of consequence. She addressed the room. Let me be clear. The Earthbloom ceremony is binding. I have declared peace between Valoria and Earth. My armada will not fire on your ships. Your colonies in the disputed sectors are now recognized as sovereign human territory. The gray-haired diplomat looked like he might faint. Just like that? 3-star systems we've been negotiating over for years, and you're simply giving them to us? I am honoring the treaty.
Lyra's tone hardened slightly.
Do not mistake generosity for weakness. The treaty has terms. Violations carry consequences. Chen leaned forward. What terms? First, the one who brought Earthbloom must remain here as a living symbol of peace. Captain Morrison will serve as Earth's permanent liaison to my court. Jake's stomach dropped. Wait, what? Second, Liara continued, ignoring his reaction. Earth must provide Earthbloom to Valoria once every solar cycle, not preserved specimens, living plants that we may attempt to cultivate. This represents ongoing commitment to peace. A female diplomat spoke up. We can arrange that. Rose bushes can be transported in stasis. Third, any act of aggression by either side voids the treaty immediately. If a single human ship fires on a Valorian vessel or vice versa, the Earthbloom ceremony is nullified and we return to a state of war. The room went quiet. Chen broke the silence. That's a significant risk. One rogue captain or false flag operation could destroy everything.
Yes, Liara agreed. Which means both our peoples must work diligently to ensure peace.
The treaty forces cooperation. She looked directly at Chen. Your species is young, impulsive. Mine is old, sometimes rigid. This treaty bridges that gap with mutual vulnerability. Jake found his voice. Your Majesty, about me staying here permanently. It is required, Lyra said firmly. The Earthbloom bearer must remain until a replacement is named or until both parties agree the peace is stable enough to release him. It could be months. It could be years. Admiral Chen stood. I need to consult with my government. This is beyond my authority to approve. Of course, Lara gestured, and a communication terminal rose from the floor. You may use secure channels from this hall. I will give you privacy. She walked toward a side exit, then paused and looked back at Jake. Come, Captain. We should let them deliberate. Jake glanced at Admiral Chen, who gave him a curt nod. He followed Liara out of the hall. They walked through corridors that seemed to shift and breathe. Jake had 1,000 questions, but Liara moved with purpose, not inviting conversation. They climbed a spiral ramp that defied physics, curving upward without visible support. Finally, they emerged onto a balcony overlooking the city. The 3 moons hung low on the horizon, casting triple shadows across towers that stretched toward the stars. You're angry, Liara said without looking at him. I'm confused, Jake corrected. You just volunteered me for a job I didn't apply for. I gave you the highest honor in Valorian society. Now she turned to face him. The Earthbloom bearer is revered, protected. Every door in the Empire opens for you. Every Valorian citizen is bound to assist you. I don't want to be revered. I want to go home. Liara's expression softened. I understand, but you must understand something as well. When you walked toward me with those flowers, you changed the course of history. Not just for our 2 species, but for this entire sector. The Valorian Empire has been at odds with a dozen civilizations. Earth was simply the latest. Your action today sends a message to all of them. Jake leaned against the balcony railing. The metal was warm under his hands. What message? That peace is possible. That courage exists. That someone will still choose flowers over weapons. Liara stood beside him, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. Do you know how many assassination attempts I survive each year? The question caught Jake off guard. No, 43 on average. I am surrounded by guards because half my own court would prefer me dead. They see peace as weakness. They believe expansion and conquest are the only paths to security. She pointed at the city below. This beauty you see? It is built on war. Centuries of it. My people know nothing else. Then why accept the earth bloom? Why bind yourself to peace? Liara was quiet for a long moment. Because I am tired, Jake Morrison. Tired of watching my people die for territory we do not need. Tired of councils that speak only of weapons and strategy. When you held out those flowers, I saw an opportunity, a way to force change that my own government would never choose willingly. You used me. Yes, she didn't deny it. But I also saved you. Every guard in that room was ordered to kill any human who entered. You should have died the moment you materialized. I countermanded that order in the instant I saw the earth bloom. Jake processed this. So the whole thing was theater? The shooting? The chase? No. My guards followed their original orders until I could stop them. 3 of your team died before I could intervene. That is on me. Liara's voice carried genuine regret. I am sorry for that. But I could not show favoritism before the ceremony. To do so would have invalidated the treaty. Below them, lights began appearing across the city. Millions of them, like stars coming to life. The people are celebrating, Liara said. Word of the Earthbloom ceremony has spread. They light lanterns for peace. They celebrating peace? My people are contradictory. Like yours. She smiled slightly. Like all people, I suspect. Jake's earpiece crackled. Grace's voice came through. Morrison, you there? Yeah. Admiral Chen wants you back in the Hall of Accords. Earth Command has made a decision. Jake straightened. Copy that. On my way. He started to leave, but Liara caught his arm. Whatever they decide, know this. You are safe here. I swear it on the Earthbloom and on my throne. No harm will come to you while you remain on Valoria Prime. Why does that sound ominous? Because you are perceptive. Liara released his arm. There are factions within my government who will see you as a threat. A symbol of weakness they must eliminate. But they will have to go through me first. That's comforting. It should be. I have never lost a fight. They returned to the Hall of Accords together. Admiral Chen stood waiting, surrounded by the diplomatic team. Her expression was unreadable. Captain Morrison, she said formally, Earth Command has reviewed the treaty terms. They have accepted with one modification. Jake felt his heart rate spike. What modification? You will serve as permanent liaison to the Valorian court, as required. However, you will also hold the rank of ambassador. Not captain. This gives you authority to negotiate on behalf of Earth without waiting for approval from home. The time delay for communications makes real-time decision-making essential. Jake stared at her. Ma'am, I'm not a diplomat. I'm a soldier. You were a soldier, Chen corrected. Now you're whatever Earth needs you to be. She pulled something from her pocket and held it out. A small pin, bearing the seal of the diplomatic corps. Congratulations, Ambassador Morrison. Try not to start any more wars while ending this one. One of the diplomats, a woman with sharp eyes and graying temples, stepped forward. We'll provide you with training materials and support staff. You'll have direct access to the diplomatic corps and to Earth Command, but day-to-day decisions are yours. Liara looked pleased. An excellent solution. Ambassador Morrison will have the authority he needs to help forge lasting peace. Jake took the pin, feeling its weight in his palm. His entire life had just changed direction. Again. When do I start? He asked. Chen smiled grimly. You already have. Your first assignment is to work with Queen Liara's staff on the formal treaty document. We need something both governments can sign within 48 hours. After that, you'll help establish trade protocols and cultural exchange programs. 48 hours? The political situation is fragile on both sides. We need to move fast before opposition groups can organize. Chen glanced at Liara. I assume you face similar challenges? Indeed. My military council meets in 6 hours. They will not be pleased. Neither will mine. Chen extended her hand to Liara. Let's give them something they can't refuse. Liara took the Admiral's hand. The gesture looked awkward, 2 species meeting in mutual uncertainty, but it held.